So hi guys, Jonathan Graham here, Nick Jennison, and we are thinking about guitar, and we are here at NAMM 2026. It's hard to believe it's 2026 already.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But NAMM hasn't fully begun just yet. But we wanted to get in on the media preview day to get our hands on a couple of really cool Martin guitars that have just launched literally within the last hour, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The embargo broke about maybe 50 minutes ago.
That's it.
So it's a real privilege to be sat here showing these new guitars to you guys. This is of course our first NAMM, and we're really excited about it. And not only that, we're in our favourite spot at the NAMM show, which is the Martin preview day. They always look after us. Martin, they're good friends of ours, and man, they've showed up with some very cool guitars this year. It's not the fireworks package that they brought last year. It's a bit more of a refinement of what's already there. But we're taking a look at two guitars from the Rhodes series right now. So we have the D10, which is on my lap, and we've got the D12 over my shoulder. They're quite similar. The big difference is really in terms of trim, but my favorite thing that they've done this year is they've divided the Rhodes series up into two like sub-series. So there's Rhodes series Retro and Rhodes series Modern.
Yeah.
And this just makes so much sense in my little head, because it's kind of hard to explain to somebody why a D18 and an SC13 are the same. Like, we're both in the same series. So I think what Martin have done with this is they've given us a clear indicator of if you want a classic Martin, but in the Rhodes series spec and the Rhodes series kind of price range, go here. If you want something that's very modern, like super, super playable, like the SC series, go here.
Yeah.
They're both Rhodes series, they're both still affordable, they're both made in Navajo. It's good stuff. So you've been playing this as well off camera.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
both taken with this guitar. This is a sub $1,000 guitar, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So the big difference between the two, do you want to take a hold of this one? I'll grab the other guy.
Yeah.
They're both dreadnoughts. This one is the D12, and the big difference is in the, I guess you call it in the cosmetics. So where it matters, these guitars are both very similar. We have a spruce top, Superior back and sides, all solid woods, which at this price point for a Martin that's pretty huge. This guitar is satin finished. This one is gloss on the body, but it's still satin on the neck. This has a slightly more elaborate rosette, and it also has back and side binding, whereas this guitar only has top binding.
Absolutely.
And there's also a difference in the tuners as well. This guitar has open gear tuners with these plastic buttons, which look very attractive, but this guitar has the Grover open gear tuners. So really what you're paying for is something of a cosmetic upgrade. And you can think of these as being essentially inspired by a 15 and inspired by an 18, but at a very, very, very appealing price.
Absolutely. And yeah, as you guys know, these are two of the biggest, most famous guitars that Martin have ever made. But not everybody is able to sort of,
Tell me about
put the price, the price down. By the way, just in case you can't hear all the horns and the sounds and stuff like that, this is the sound of NAMM, pre-NAMM.
They're still building the NAMM show.
When they're actually building it. Someone, I think, is getting knocked down there behind us. But anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. But we have got some great examples here that, luckily, with these guitars, you can actually plug them in and get great sound coming out of them as well. We will take a much closer look and detailed look at how they sound acoustically, with a condenser mic back in the studio.
But this is not the environment to do it in. So.
NAMM, when there's tons of noise and what have you, if you've been here, you know all about it. I mean, it'll get even louder tomorrow, so that's why we thought we will do it today. But back to the models themselves. I need to stop hitting it with my ring. But back to the models themselves. What is sort of standing out to you is the real unique aspect to these guitars.
Well, okay, so I mean it's easy to fixate on the price because the price is very appealing on these instruments considering what you're getting. But you coined a phrase a couple of NAMMs back. We measure time in NAMMs here. A couple of NAMMs ago, which was that Martin guitars, certainly the good ones, sound like a record.
Yeah. In
the sense that you plug them in and you play them and you go, that's just the sound that you hear in all your favorite recordings. And these guitars have that. They're also not instruments that I'd be afraid to take out into the field. So
good point.
As a working player, man, I'm terrified of these like $7-8 grand plus whatever Martin guitars. I don't have a tech to take my guitars to and from the gig. Like, they're going in the back of my car.
Yeah.
I worry. So for me, a guitar like this is more my sort of speed, especially with acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
What I will say is that while I really enjoy the look of this guitar, I actually think this one, for me, is a little sweeter. I like the satin finish, and I'm also kind of of the opinion that
the tones,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm also of the opinion that the less finish you can put on an acoustic guitar, the better. Now that's probably superstition for me, and I'm not a guitar builder, so take that with a huge grain of salt. But you were listening to them from across the, like literally across the little booth that we're in.
Yeah.
What stood out to you as a listener?
I mean, they both have their very unique, their unique sounds for sure. I mean, what I would say is the first thing is I don't think any of them that they're going to bring to NAMM to showcase this are going to be bad sounding ones or bad playing ones. So yeah, for sure. But I think the thing that stands out, I think, is just actually how sonically things cut through. I mean, I know I'm going on about the noise here at NAMM, but you know, even though there's a lot of sounds around us, it's a very clear tone that's coming out of these guitars, you know, with like the frequencies that you're just wanting to, that you're expecting to hear from a Martin guitar. It's got that Martin sound, and both have that, but it just depends on which flavour of Martin you want, and that's how it's been with, you know, the D18 and what have you. And now with these Road series, you've got an extra category that you can go in at. Just to talk a little bit on the finish though, because yeah, you know, we are looking at this sort of satin finish on here. This is more of your traditional finish that you'd be expecting from a Martin guitar, but it's very, very mild for me. You know, there's an awful lot of new guitar builders, especially on the acoustics. They go to all that effort to make these incredible sound instruments, and then to me it's almost like they're just dipped in plastic. Now that's not the case, obviously. Really, you know, you play them and they sound great. They don't want them to age, but this does feel like this could have been a guitar that was built 25, 30 years ago. If they had the technology, it would have looked just exactly the same. So it's going to age the way you'd like an acoustic to age and breathe, and it's going to be a guitar that's, you know, you're going to have 10, 15 years, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. Both are like that, but in particular, I think this is getting my attention.
You're feeling this one?
But it might be the aesthetics.
Yeah, it could be, man. I mean, what we kind of discussed with this one is this is a guitar that, if you saw it from across the room, you'd be thinking it was a D18.
Yeah,
you know, whereas this has a little bit more of a Road series look to it, but also that's reflecting the price, because they're both very affordable. This is even more affordable. I'd take this guy, like personally, the D10 with the satin finish. I think it's just because, like, I wouldn't be worried about marking it. I wouldn't be worried about getting all scraped up and stuff. I'm going to be gigging the thing. I like the feel of a satin finish, but I know what you mean. The look of this one is kind of, it's it.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about this, anyway, we've been waffling on about this quite a long time, and we're going to get some new guitars in as well. So with more guitars in. These are new guitars. We'll get some more guitars in. I think really the beautiful thing about it is you're getting all the stuff that you want and all the stuff that's really important from a Martin acoustic with these guitars, and it's just a question of how much extra do you want to pay for the look. So, and I think it's nice. Yeah, it's cool. I would take this one. You'd have this one. That's fine. It's okay to disagree.
Well, you say that you know, these two, but it's not the only two new guitars in the Road series this year. So, but we see if we can grab someone and get those as well.
So all changed, we've gone from the Retro Road series through to a Retro Plus, tell you about that in a second, and this guitar from the Modern Road series. Now, you've got a connection with this guitar, John. Tell us a little bit about
I do. I mean, look, I'm a little biased because I really do like Martin guitars, but this SC series, you know, is a bit special. I mean, in particular, back in 2018, I was lucky enough to get invited out to the Martin factory. They do this every now and then where they want to sort of get some journalists, some players, just to get an idea on something new that they're doing. Of course, this was such a major departure from anything we'd seen before. And, you know, they brought this thing out, and we were some of the first, apart from the builders, of course, to play the thing. And if you've ever picked one of them up, you'll know it's completely different from anything else that Martin do. You know, the neck feels almost, I mean, am I wrong in saying it feels like an electric guitar neck?
I think that was the intention. I think the idea was for players like myself, maybe, who are primarily electric guitar players. I think there are some acoustics out there that appeal to people like myself.
Yeah.
So we've kind of had this back and forward a little bit, where I tend to lean more towards guitars that play well.
Yeah, yeah.
And you tend to lean more towards guitars that sound really good.
Well, that's I feel as if I play better when the guitar sounds good. You know, it's like it's doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
It makes me sound a little bit better.
True. But I feel like I need a guitar that really works for me.
Yeah.
That's going to flatten the things I'm trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And this guitar is like, it's both. It sounds like a Martin. Does it sound identical to a D18?
No.
because it's not physically identical to a D18. But it's very much in that Martin family. It sounds beautiful in a very Martin kind of way. It's not a modern sounding guitar.
No.
But it plays like one of these modern high performance acoustics that I really like and that I bond with. So,
And of course, you guys, you know, if you've seen the SC13, you're familiar with this really unique neck joint that it's got that gives you this nice high access for, you know, for playing like lead guitar on the acoustic, of course, but it's not some gimmick. It really sounds killer. Now, as we mentioned, that was back in 2018. It's now 2026. Jeez, how did it get to 2026?
We got old, man.
So you know, you guys are probably familiar with it, but what is new then for the 2026 version?
So this is part of the Road series, the Road series, the modern Road series, we should say. So there's a few features here. One of my favorites is the back and sides. So this has a cherry stained Koa back and sides. So I'm going to show it to the camera real quick.
Absolutely.
So that looks absolutely stylish, but that is a veneer. So it's not a Koa body, so it doesn't have the Koa sound. I think it's mahogany, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Everything else is as we'd expect from a Road series SC. It's affordable, it's super playable, it has the LR Bag's upgraded pickup system.
Yep.
It also has these ratio tuners. Now, we were just chatting about this off camera with our guy here at Martin, and we really like these for a few reasons. First of all, what they do is they provide the same amount of tuning per turn on the this might sound strange, but if you've ever like tried to tune a guitar and you've noticed that you have to turn one of the strings loads to get it going, and the low E string you turn it a tiny bit and it goes whoa. This set features different ratios, for different gear ratios rather, for each individual string. So if you turn each string, you get the same pitch change. But they're also lighter because they have these little carved out kind of parts here.
Yeah.
That in turn is going to help the guitar balance. It's going to mean you're not going to get as much neck dive, which on a performance guitar like this, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? It's this performance thing. I mean, when I first heard about that, in particular about the weight aspect, I was thinking, oh, come on, like, geez, oh. But you pick one of these guitars up and you feel it. It does. It feels like it's like an F1 car. You know, it's like it's finely tuned. It's performance based, as you said, and you know, it's just deciding which, you know, flavour of SC13 you're into.
But this also has some visual updates too, because the SC13 was quite polarising guitar for Martin. So the blue is gone. We have a more traditional rosette. It's finished in this really nice mezcal burst, which I think looks very, very attractive.
Yeah,
it kind of brings it a little more into that retro space, a little more into the kind of the old Martin look. Now the SC is always going to be a bit of an eye-catching instrument because of its offset shape, and certainly because of that neck join, but it just looks a bit more traditional for folks who are maybe put off by the look of the originals. I happen to like them.
Did we find out what the bridge is made of?
Pending. We'll put it in we'll put it in the description.
Well, you know what? I mean, obviously, again, it's all about performance and so on, but I think it's the only criticism I'd have. I think I'd like a slightly darker wood on the bridge.
I think so, but that might just be a question of, it's always quite dry here at the NAMM show, so that might just need a little bit of oil. Although it feels good, it feels nice to the touch, so maybe a darker bridge. I think I know what you mean, but apart from that...
But it's aesthetics as well, but it's important to me. Now, what you got there, we've talked about, obviously, the SC, we've talked about 18, the 15 versions. This would be what?
So this is from the Retro Plus series, and we spoke a little bit about how the 12 from the Retro Rhodes series was basically like the Rhodes series version of a D18.
Yeah.
Well, this is like a D28 in that sense, so it's a bit more luxurious.
Yeah.
Let's say in terms of its presentation. It's got binding front and back. It has a torrefied top, which is a big deal. So if you don't know about the torrefaction, whatever process, when it comes to aging woods, what it essentially does is it takes all of the moisture that a newly cut piece of wood would have and removes it in a way that emulates an aged top.
Yeah.
So we all talk about how beautiful aged acoustic guitars sound. The acoustic guitar sound comes largely from the top. It is essentially the speaker that, like a speaker in an electric guitar, it has the most influence in the tone. It's not the only thing that matters for the tone,
No.
but it does have a large influence. And if the tone from the top is, if the top is like an aged top, let's say, you can expect it to sound more like an aged guitar. It also has the upgraded LR Bags pickup system.
Yeah.
It has the open gear tuners, finished in this lovely gloss. It looks like an expensive Martin, but it's still not that crazy in terms of price. I mean, you know, we're talking about amounts of money that are not insubstantial. They're really not. When you compare it to what you'd expect to pay for like a proper, like US-made like Nazareth D18.
Absolutely.
It's a
Well,
bargain.
you guys know, you know, you're in guitar stores, you're picking things up. You know what the prices are like these days. I mean, old heads like us, I still get confused with the prices. I still think of like 90s prices, and I'm like, what, $5,000 for a guitar? But we know that's kind of the standard at the moment for a lot of high-end instruments and above. You know, like a lot of them just starting at that.
Yeah.
So when you look at something like that and you're thinking, okay, it's in the affordable range and it's going to get me everything that I need, I would definitely say any of these four that we've talked about, they're worth picking up and trying out, especially if you have been dying to add a Martin to your collection. You know, everyone should really have one.
I think so.
I mean,
To my,
if you can afford it.
to my shame, I don't. But a guitar like this could change that for me, because it's right in that sweet spot of like, it looks great, sounds great, plays really well, and it's not massively unaffordable. I could see myself with one of these. So there you go, folks. That's been a look at some brand new guitars from Martin's Rhodes series. We're super excited to be here, man. It's our first NAMM's thinking about guitar, and this is a great way to kick it off. John, you got any parting words?
Well, I want you guys to keep your eyes peeled for all the latest stuff from NAMM here from Thinking About Guitar. We're going to be updating daily.
Anything you want us to look at, anything you want to know about, drop it in the comments. We're going to be checking them. We'll be uploading regularly over the course of the show. In the meantime, though, we've got to go and get some dinner, because it's been a long day already. My name's Jennison. This is Jonathan Graham. We're Thinking About Guitar. We'll see you next time.